I know why I was a bachelor for as long as I was. And it could be like I just wasn't ready. I was young. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to experience life. That's a big part of it as well. But I know in terms of me, I know how loyal and committed and in love I am with my friends and family, that the idea of giving that to somebody and them hurting me or shattering that, I don't know how I could take it and handle it. But I'm now coming to terms as a man to say, this is non-sustainable. I don't want to live a life in fear.
The Self-Hype Podcast.
We got a good one this week. We are going to get a little personal with your boy Eli, and I'm going to talk about my journey from going for being the most bachelor of all the bachelors, former F-boy, what have you, to now wanting to be a husband in these streets. Who knew? Not me 5 years ago. So we're going to dive into my story, the nuggets of information to understand what was my ideology shifts and what it took for me to be this person that you're talking to right now that wants to settle down and do the long-term thing. And hopefully this is going to help you navigate the dating game and how to process and see men so you can find your hubby to be. Now, let's dive into it. What is up, everyone? This episode is going to be chill. I feel like always like a little sense of anxiety. You guys deserve the best in me. And for all my listeners and for all my dope-ass people that listen, thank you. But I got to remember that I want it to be personable. I want it to be connective. I don't want it to be too, okay, point number one, point number two, point number three. Now that's it. Goodbye. See you later. I want to just add that human flair. I'm still an artist, so it needs to be an expression of me. And this is why we're kind of doing this episode. I am growing with all of you. And I've done a podcast in the past. It was in 2018. It was called Real Talk Love Therapy with Daisha. And it's funny to see clips, and I'm too embarrassed to even listen to episodes. I will soon, one day. But I was like 28 years old at the time, and the stuff I think about myself saying at the time and what I'm saying now is so night and day. And it says so much about where I was in my life that if you told me when I was in my late 20s, or even, oh my God, even more mid 20s, that I would be saying the things that I would be saying today, I would think you're nuts. I would think you're freaking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Oh, Eli wants to be a husband. Eli wants to settle down. Eli wants a cute little dog and a house and a white picket fence and all that. I would say you're freaking cray cray. But it shows the growth and progress of me as a man and growth and progress of me as a human being. And a lot of that I see now is just fear and vulnerability and running away from myself and who I always was. And it is beautiful to be here. And even this year, I've had realizations and shedding of old skin that doesn't serve me and self discovery. And I say all that to say is, that podcast, even doing that process and interviewing all these people from all different walks of life, of love and sex and intimacy, I realized a lot about myself. It was therapeutic for me. I thought it would be therapeutic for everyone else, and I'll just be the funny color commentator, while Daisha's the straight faced one, and I'm the one cracking jokes. I'm like, this will just be fun. But I had no idea that experience was going to help me better digest and understand myself more through having real conversations with different people. And this podcast now, the Self-Hype Podcast, has been a continuation of that. I think I've been able, and we started this podcast earlier this year, India and Tori, my team that are amazing, freaking phenomenal producers. And we started this thing, again, of just really giving an extension of content to all of you and to give the most value we can to you of the listener. And it just felt like a natural step. I had this podcast before. It was a little dusty. I stopped in 2020 because the world literally ended. And with this new love and dating resurgence, a passion I found, I was like, it's time to bring this up. But I was able to, so far in this recording of restarting this podcast, I've been able to talk to people that I looked up to. I've been able to talk to therapists that I used to watch when I was going through really hard mental spells. I got to talk to people that I was fans of and ask them questions. And it's been such a beautiful experience to be able to sit across other people digitally and pick their brains and gain perspective. And every conversation has helped me in some way. So again, I bring all this to say that even just not that long, probably like a month ago, maybe even a couple of weeks ago, I am embracing myself more than I've ever have before. And I'm linked in arm with you as a human being. I could show you different ideologies and ways of thinking that I have been able to process and do. There's still storms that I personally have. And it's been so frightening to come to a place of such vulnerability with myself to say, I want to be a life partner to somebody.
What is up? So I know you're enjoying the episode, but I just want to ask you a question. What if we worked together? What if we jumped on a live call? What if you told me all the goals and aspirations you had in the dating game, and I created a customizable, non-negotiable list for you to help you filter out all the F-boys and ratchet, dusty potatoes? What if you got to be a part of a program that was designed to know the mindset of a man while also knowing how to do the inner work of regulating your nervous system while sustaining boundaries and normalizing rejection from dating apps all the way to defining the relationship? What if you got to jump on live calls with me every 2 weeks of accountability, or being a part of a group chat with you and members from all over the freaking world where you could ask me questions whenever you want? That is the Inner Work Coaching Program. And that is the program I want to offer you. It's my premier dating program where you get to work with me. And I promise you, in 90 days or less, if you do not improve your dating game, I will give you your freaking money back guarantee, okay? And every new member that joins, this is very limited. This is for self-hype listeners. But if you're a self-hype listener and you join like in the next week, I'm going to give you a one-on-one call with me, an intro one-on-one call. And this is super limited. So if you're listening, jump on it. Link in the bio, link in the show notes, Inner Work Coaching Program, where you get to work with me and you get extra podcast episodes, you get extra bonus content, and so much more. The Inner Work Coaching Program. Hopefully I see you there. Let's get back to the episode.
I want to be somebody forever. I want to like, if you told old Eli like one coochie for the rest of your life, one coochie. We're talking about bruh. Like my younger self is like, bruh, think about it. Until you die, bruh. Like one coochie, that ain't swagalicious. That's not cash money, my G. Like you listen to that Lil Wayne song, ladies all over the world. Where I just want every girl in the world. Like that was our shit. That was us. That was us, big dog. Oh God. And it's so, I love that I'm here. And you know what the crazy thing is? I was always this person. I was always this person. I I'll never forget when I did the Real Talk Love Therapy podcast, and I was like, I interviewed God, I can't think of her name right now. She was an amazing content creator. She's like one of the sweetest people in the world. But she worked at BuzzFeed with us. And I talked about how like, hey, I'm not with relationships. Oh, I don't want kids. Oh, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that stuff. And I talked about how much I love my siblings. Like I love my siblings so much. I'm the oldest of like 10. So I'm very protective of them. And I feel like a third parent. And the guest was just listening to me. Becky, her name was Becky. Becky's phenomenal. She's like, you're gonna be a great dad one day. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't want to be a parent. I don't be like, no, you love the people you love so much. Like they're your siblings. Could you imagine when you have your own kid? And I'm like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I was lame. So I'm in this realization even now that I'm speaking about this, of that I've always been this guy. I've always been nurturing. I've always cared about creating a culture and a home. And again, I say all this to say to help you guys better understand a guy's mindset and to better navigate the man maybe that you're talking to or the dusty ass man that you shouldn't be talking to. And I know everyone's wondering, Eli, how did you get from point A to B in terms of commitment and monogamy and settling down and being with one woman? So again, just bear with me through this ride. Taking the scenic tour from time to time. So just bear with me through this. And I'll try to make it fun in the process. I was just exhausted of running away from myself. And I was exhausted of being afraid. And I was exhausted of being vulnerable, being not vulnerable. It was exhausting of not letting people in. And I think it is a product of age, to be honest. Like, yes, you're in your 30s and there is this level of pressure, I guess. But also you're also more mature with yourself and you've been able to see the habits for longer to see that, wow, this isn't inherently me and I'm just afraid. And it's been really cool, frightening, honestly frightening. This entire summer has been anxiety filled. I didn't realize I was going through such an emotional turmoil of a storm of transition in who I am as a man, to get to this other side of it. And it feels so healing. But I'm now able to tell this perspective after going through that emotional storm. And, it really, and the thing is, I'm single. There's no woman around that is helping me shape this or gave me this aha moment that did all this. Like, it really took me seeing my story to realize this is who I need to be in order to receive the love that I'm meant to. And there's a level of discipline in that. Like, I'm a husband in training. I went through a breakup last year, and it was really difficult. And it was because I didn't a lot. Part of that was I didn't know what the next stage of my life looked like, and I kept dating women without knowing the next stage. And then because I was afraid to see that for myself. I think I was the idea of being a husband, the idea of the white picket fence, the idea of all that felt like a sacrifice. Felt like, well, if I'm stuck with one person, then that I may lose out on opportunities in terms of my career. And that has always been the thing. Career's number one. Career's number one. Women are last. Women are second. Career's number one. Career's number one. Career, because I put so much pressure on myself of I need to be the best I can be for the people around me, for my siblings, for my mom. I have to be the best. I have to be the first millionaire. I have to we got out of the hood. I got to show my grandparents it was worthwhile. I got to show my mom who had me at 19 it was worthwhile. So like I had all this pressure that I was putting on myself to achieve, 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 achieve without thinking, what is my personal life? What do I want? Do I want like do I want like open concept home, or do I want like traditional modern, or do I want like what do I want shiplap? Do I want Chip and Joanna to come in and give me the big reveal and just be like, yes, okay, more shiplap, got it. But I never put myself there. I manifested so much in my life. Like me coming from poverty, me coming from nothing, me growing up dodging bullets and gang violence, getting jumped to be here as in my career, I busted my ass and I manifested so much, but I did not once through my entire 20s envision my personal life because I didn't put any merit to it. And as someone who's able to manifest so much, the fact that I was able to enable my personal life, I just didn't think it was of importance. And I felt like it was my mission to my sacrifices, not my personal life, but to take care of everybody else. And I think what comes with age is, and with siblings getting older, starting to go off to college, them being their own adults and not needing me. My grandparents getting older, my parents, they're young parents. They complain like, "I want grandkids." I'm like, "Okay, relax." My dad still goes to the club and dances salsa and all that. And if you've seen my BuzzFeed videos, you know what I'm talking about. I think a lot of it was, yeah, I was afraid of running away from myself and seeing the habits that I was doing so. And I think it was just this identity crisis of this year of saying, I'm working. So why am I working so hard? First and foremost, and I'm working so hard for all my siblings. I'm working so hard to get also a reaction from my mom. My mom was very emotionally distant, so knowing and coming to terms with the fact that I'm never going to get the love that I was wanted to receive, that I should have received as a child, even to this day from her, was a big realization of, okay, why am I working so hard then? Why am I doing everything that I'm doing? Why am I busting my ass in the way it is? Why am I grueling and dragging myself through this and not letting anyone else in terms of love and dating? Um, and I think I finally just let go. I let go of whatever millionaire future that was set for me. I let go of every traditional level of success and mansion and clout and whatever. I just let go of all of it. I'm just like, you know what? If it happens, it happens, which it would be great. If it did, sure. I get to create a money wall, whatever, get the sense of achievement. But I also got to live enough life to know that those achievements only feel good in a moment. There's no long term fulfillment in that. where, okay, I got to be a TEDx speaker. Okay, I got to speak at South by Southwest. Okay, I got to make films. Okay, I got to travel around the country. Okay, I got to make some money. But great. What now? What do I do now? And something just shook in me that, I remember my mom was like, I was just complaining about my siblings. And she's like, if you're upset so much about everyone else, why don't you just create your own family? And that blew my mind. And I'm like, wow, that sounds like a great idea, actually. I don't got to deal with all these other human beings. They're adults. They're going to live their lives and do what they do, but I can create a home with a partner. And I'm good at that because I care so much about the people I care about. But I just got to get in a position to be vulnerable to let someone who's not my family in. And that's what's scary. So I think letting go of all that traditional, like I should be this and I should be that and I should do these things because it's been exhausting. It's been so exhausting. And I think I realized that work and achievement is just the extracurricular of life. It's a privilege. But what is my baseline of happiness? And my baseline of happiness is coming home to somebody, to share a life with someone, to and I've been able to learn so much about dating and the dynamics and how to read people and the psychology of why people do what they do that there's this other adventure in terms of building a life with someone in the most vulnerable sense that is the frontier that serves me. I think I have like a PhD in all the other stuff. I think what the journey is now is building a future with someone, and that's going to get me to be the man that I'm meant to be. And I used to answer this question of who am I meant to be as, well, I'm supposed to be a millionaire. I'm supposed to help out my family. I'm supposed to do all, and now it's no, who am I? Who am I as a human being to the people that love me? Like, who am I in those dynamics? And that's what felt deeper and more resound. So I'm not giving up on my dreams in terms of filmmaking, in terms of business, in terms of building the podcast, but I am letting go of the ego and pressure involved to it. And I'm enjoying this process. And I realize that my now mission is to create a home. And that's my resounding legacy that I'll leave. And that is a bigger impact that I can make with my family and my siblings. So I could be an example of that, but in a sustainable way that serves me. And I don't have to sacrifice. And I'll say this, I'm fucking scared. I'm really scared right now. And I think I always knew I wanted this because I would be in relationships and I do like partnership and I love like being in a relationship and but I just didn't know what to do with it because of that fear of vulnerability. And that would create so much tension in my partners because okay, where's the future with this guy? It's fun, it's exciting. He's a great dude, but where's the future? And it makes sense why they had that anxiety in which they did and I couldn't really answer that. So it's a really beautiful place to be here now. But it's frightening because I don't want to fail. And I was at the gym, it's been at the gym the last couple of weeks, and I used to always think about envision my career, envision my money, envision, like me going on stages and doing those things and the self-hype con and doing all that stuff. And it's like, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me. And I think I just shifted my mindset in that moment and said, I'm doing it for them. And that themism is the provider in me as a man to want to every dollar I make and every achievement I give, that's providing a future for my family. And I don't know if I want kids. That's frightening too. Maybe talk to me in a couple of years. Maybe I'll have a little Eli doing backflips in the back. Who the hell knows? Eating chicken wings. I don't know. But there is something that I think makes me feel like I am fulfilling my most full potential in doing everything that I'm doing for my future family. And that family could be my wife and 14 chihuahuas, who the hell knows. But it's a really beautiful place to be. And I look at my younger brother who's went a entirely different life than me, who got married in their mid 20s with a phenomenal woman. They fell in love in college. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he loves Jesus, he reads books. He's freaking vegan for Christ's sake. And I love chicken wings. That shows how opposite we are. But I'm so inspired by him because through all the issues we grew up with seeing, he ascended to be better at a way earlier time than me. And I always thought, come on, bro, have fun, do this, life is short, do all that. But he had his perspective right. And everyone's journey is different, and I don't beat myself up over that, but it's just such a cool place to be. And just to bring it back to whoever's listening, a lot of what I'm saying is me. A lot of what I'm saying is like, this is my journey. This is me coming to terms with myself. And there was no woman that, oh, I love kids now, or oh, I love marriage now, or oh, I want to settle down now, or oh, I don't want to be in a situation with you. I want to be with you forever now. There was no woman that did that. And this is a hard pill to swallow for some of you, but it took me as a man in my own solitude to realize every stage of progress within myself. And women were just a signature and sign of the habits that didn't serve me. And I would never go back necessarily to them, because of different stage of lifeisms and everything else. But there was no aha. Like, yeah, I had to feel that with me. And, and before anyone asks, and before anyone says, you see, we're watching this taxi, what boyfriend or or whatever the hell it is, like how when a man's ready, he's going to be with the first woman he's going to be with. That's bullshit. Let's talk about that right now. You see, now you're going to be with the best one. You broke all these girls' hearts, and now you're going to, no, 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 no. I'm ready now, but I'm still going to find my partner. Like, that's the difference. I'm not going to just date the first Applebee's waitress that, has beautiful eyelashes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go through the process of dating just like everybody else. And now that I know myself more and I have a clear direction, I'm able to help that woman and sustain that, and help that calm that anxiety, because I see a future for myself. And I could better have more intentional conversations with that woman because we could see if our futures align. And if they don't, then they don't. Um, and I trust myself through that process, even though it's going to be lonely because I do all this personal wellness work and growth and everything else. And a lot of people don't. So you'll be surprised how hard it is as a wellness coach to date. But um, I say all that to say, for women who's listening to this, hoping or thinking, well, what can I do to help him change? What can I do to make him see that potential? What can I do? What can I? Will he do it with me? Will I be the one? Will I be? He has to come at you, telling you about himself, and that narrative has to be with or without you. And you're probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about, with or without me? He's saying, I'm ready for this next stage in my life. This is what the future looks like. And that's inherently me, not based on this relationship. Like, I'm going to find my person with or without you, because that's where I'm at in the era of my life. Also, there has to be an additional step of accountability. And listen to my story. And what I said was, I know why I was a bachelor for as long as I was. And it could be like, I just wasn't ready. I was young. I want to have fun. I want to experience life. That's a big part of it as well. But I know in terms of me, I grew up seeing everything not to do. And I had no real father figure around to help me see what a healthy relationship or what a man looks like. So I was just kind of raising myself through all this and made a lot of mistakes in the process. But also, through not having people that should have been there, people that really should have been there, um, it's hard for me to trust people. And I think me being as emotional as I am, which I fully embrace as a superpower now, that was a really scary thing I wanted to hide as much as humanly possible, because I know how loyal and committed and in love I am with my friends and family, that the idea of giving that to somebody and them hurting me or shattering that, I don't know how I could take it and handle it. And I rather just not let anyone in and just keep them at a safe distance, because I know what that feels like. But I'm now coming to terms as a man to say, this is non-sustainable. I don't want to live a life in fear. And I know myself more now, and I'm more confident in myself now to be able to go through that pain. And it's necessary to go through that pain. And it's to know that I actually did. And the win is to actually put yourself out there and do it. The win is not even so much of, does the relationship work? The win is, I got through my trauma. Like, that's the win. Like, I'm heartbroken so deeply because I finally let someone in And versus saying that this is some bad thing or I shouldn't have done that or I was so dumb. No, I won today. I beat my trauma. I got on the other side of it. I survived through it. And I get emotional talking about this because I feel like this is just me I'm just coming back into my childhood's bedroom. I'm just holding his hand again. I've always been this way. I've always cared about the people I loved. I'm do personal wellness coaching because I love it. I get emotional thinking about my clients. I get emotional helping them heal and go through breakups and looking them in their eyes and saying, I'm so proud of you. Like I have this deep heart and I haven't been properly using it. And I'll be damned if I'm an old man saying I never did. And again, this is my own personal journey. And I'm at least able to confidently give a partner a sense of direction, road mapping, and perspective to help them feel that they could be my feminine energy partner baddie right next to me. Um, so again, it's a lot of self-reflection and it's a lot of self-accountability and it's a lot of self. And a lot of this takes years. And if you're maybe you're a little younger, maybe if you guys just broke up and you're hoping like, well, hopefully he'll figure it out and he'll change. This could take years. So I don't want you to just wait in this waiting room of delusion, thinking, okay, he's going to change in 2 weeks and then he'll be back. This type of work is very internal. This type of work takes a long time. And I committed personal wellness like 10 years ago. Damn near 10 years ago, I started my personal development journey and I'm still figuring things out. So I say all this to say, if you're on the other side of this, you shouldn't wait either. You got to live life. You can't wait for him. And I know it's hard and you're worried that this other woman's going to take advantage or whatever. But also there's another man waiting for you as well. I don't want the other man. I get it. You feel that way right now and I don't blame you, but you have the opportunity. And then I'm telling you, as a guy, if you truly love him, give him the opportunity to heal on his own. Give him the opportunity to sit in his solitude. Don't enable his behavior. Don't enable his negative actions. Don't enable any of it. If you truly care about this man and you want him to be better, leave him the hell alone and stop the toxic circle of enabling and let him sit in his solitude. And well, if he just ran to another woman, he ain't ready to sit in his solitude. Because I used to be that. I used to run to woman, to woman, to woman, to woman, to woman, because I didn't want to deal with myself. I didn't like dealing with this. And it's so cool, painful and frightening, but so cool that I trust myself through those emotional storms to see who I really am on the other side of it. And it took a long time to get here. But I think I'm really proud of myself. I know that I'm proud of myself. So I don't want you to wait. I don't want you to fall into this delusion. I don't want you to beat yourself up if you're with a guy who is just not there and they show you through action and lack of verbalization and everything else. Because I love deeply and I'm assertive with my love. And if I'm interested in you, I'm going to tell you. I don't cut no bullshit. I like you. I want you. Let's do this damn thing. The certain level of confidence I have in that you're going to know. Like if the man's ready and you're wifey, it's gonna flow and you're gonna know. I'm not saying you guys ain't gonna have problems. Like I say, you guys are gonna argue. The man probably is still gonna pick his toenails in bed and whatnot. But in terms of your baseline of your nervous system, oh, he wants this and he wants me. Maybe not always on the same timeline of things, but he wants me for the long haul. And I think I'm excited. It's a very different definitely weird era for me right now, but I think necessary and transitional. And I think I'm kind of seeing it in real time, which is kind of trippy because I know I'm saying goodbye to a lot of things of my past self, which is also sad. Um, but I'm seeing it in real time that the next stage is going to be significant beyond measure. And uh I've had long-term relationships and I've had amazing, phenomenal long-term relationships. And I learned a lot through the highs and the lows and how to regulate your emotions in terms of conversation and how to connect through hardship and self-accountability and everything else. But not knowing what your life looks like when it comes to another individual, at a certain point we're just spinning our wheels. And I think I hoped that something would pop up, but it was my own internal struggle. And now that that is in the process of breaking down, it will flow. And if you don't feel that you are flowing through this process of this man, and he can't tell you, this is where I'm at, this is where I came from, and this is what my future looks like. And it's going to be with or without you, but I would love for you to be a part of it. You're going to be in a good place. And he could tell you this early on. Like he could tell you this on the first damn date. I'm looking for a life partner. I'm looking for long-term relationships. That's what I'm ready for that. There's a level of accountability you must have if you are dating and a man's not giving you this. And if you are saying, I'm looking for a serious relationship and I want someone who really wants this, you got to ask yourself, am I sitting in my delusion for way too long, hoping that this man loves me the way that I need? Or am I able to stand on business and see the reality for what it is and do him a favor and let him go? Do us both a favor and let him go. Because yeah, you could blame men all you want, but the narrative continues because you choose to. And I don't mean to not give them accountability, but if a man has not been showing you any sense of adjustment or futurism or putting you into his future, why? What are we doing? What are we doing? So it's really important that you guys give yourself. And thank you for listening to this is where I feel a little awkward and uncomfortable. I know it's a podcast. You guys been listening, and hopefully this has been some value for you in terms of, okay, it was him. This was his process that he had to do in his own solitude and everything else. And how do I stand on business in that? How do I create a boundary within that? How do I take an action for me in that? Knowing that this is a multi-year process for men, knowing that this is a process that is really about him and knowing who he is and who he needs to be and what he wants to be. Where do I fit in that? How long am I willing to stay? And am I willing to trust myself that if I let him go and maybe he does the work down the line, maybe we could try to make it work in the future, or maybe this just isn't it. But at the end of the day, I don't want you to beat yourself up. I don't want you to think like, well, I could have, should have done that, and I could have done this, and maybe he would have changed, and maybe it would have been better. No, this is just who he is. This is his level of comfort, and he's not ready to step outside of it. And I don't want you to drag yourself down thinking, I deserve this, or I'm not loved, or I don't deserve that love, or I'm not going to be a good partner. You're fucking magic. And that is the process of going through all this love and vulnerability. All these men are just scared. That's really what it is. Yes, even Jorge with the anger issues, he's scared. We're all just afraid. And I don't say this to say, oh, well, he's afraid. I need to get back with him because he's just scared. I'll just give him extra chances. He's just scared little boy. No. He's still a grown ass man. But he has to take some damn accountability for himself. I just say that they're afraid to say that they're not this big monster that you're making them out to be. They're really just a scared bunny with a machine gun. That's all it really is. And to know that, to give yourself a sense of power again, to know that I can move on from this and knowing that they're there on their own journey and it really has nothing to do with it. Because it really doesn't. So hopefully that was releasing. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that is what it is. And stay tuned for Eli's life. You're watching it progress in real time of these deep senses of vulnerabilities and shedding of skins and deep work and action. And what's cool is I could promote and create more for everyone as I go through this process as well. So thank you all for listening and know that you're awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. Now, if you're looking to navigate, okay, is this man, should I be with him? Should I not be with him? Eli, let me ask you a damn question. everything in between. There's tons of ways you can work with me in the show notes. I do everything in terms of helping you through post breakup, how to regulate your nervous system, to having a monthly coaching club where you jump on live calls, you learn about red flags, dusty ass men, what they're thinking, and all that. So feel free to check it out, figure out ways you can work with me. And thank you for being a part of this ride and being a part of the thing. And yeah, dude, I get to do this. It's pretty freaking awesome. I know I talk about this a lot, but thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. See you next week.
The Self Hype Podcast.